Good morning. Welcome to Market Day Report. I'm Tony St. James. It's a Thursday morning, which means USDA out with their weekly export sales numbers. And Brian Hoops will join us in a moment as we break down those numbers. First off, let's look at overnight trade for corn, as it was a penny lower on the September, 374.5, with the December contract slipping a penny and a quarter, 397 a bushel. Soybeans, old crop, 954 and a quarter, and that was an 8 3/4 cent drop, with November down 8 1/2, 973 a bushel. Let's roll through the wheat markets, and we'll start with Chicago. September, 519 a bushel, down 3/4 cent. New crop, 581 and a quarter. Penny and a half lower, that new crop, the July. Same story for hard red winter wheat, Kansas City wheat. September, 534 3/4, penny and a half lower, 3 cents lower on July at 573 1/2. Spring wheat, Minneapolis, September, couple of pennies lower, 579 1/4, and the D's at 594 1/2. It was off 2 1/2. And the cotton market in New York, after building this week, kind of lower in overnight trade, 69.36, off 99. Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. He's president there, and I saw on I nearly said Twitter, but X this morning, you already had the numbers out from USDA's weekly export sales. What grabs your attention?
Yeah, good morning, Tony. Yeah, I refer to it as Twitter most of the time, and hard to get used to it. But yeah, export numbers that were out this morning. A few surprises, I think, in the export sales. Wheat came in at 18.1 million bushels, which is a very good number for wheat. And then with the old crop corn and soybeans, there's a caveat here. We only have 2 weeks left in the marketing year. So these are as of August the 15th. August the 30th will be the last reporting day for those old crop sales. And they were marking year low for corn and soybeans, as we saw a lot of sales that were on the books rolled out of that old crop category into new crop. So our old crop category, very poor. For new crop corn, only 4.7 million bushels, but new crop very good at 50.8. Old crop soybeans, a marking year low, 1.6 million bushels. New crop at a very strong 61.6 million bushels. So probably better than expected as far as new crop sales goes for corn and soybeans. We also had some private export sale announcements this morning that we want to pass along. 198,000 metric tons of soybeans sold to China. So again, we're continuing to see Chinese demand for soybeans as we go into this third quarter. This is normal. This is exactly what we would expect. They are our sales for new crop anyway, 19-year lows. And we're trying to play catch up a little bit. So at these lower prices, we're seeing demand being stimulated. There was also about 105,000 metric tons of meal sold to Vietnam, 110,000 corn sold to Mexico, and 132,000 corn sold to an unknown destination. First time we've seen corn sales included this week, and really since Monday, Tuesday of last week, the first time we've seen a corn sale. So what does this mean? Well, it should support us a little bit, at least initially, on the opening this morning. We looked, to open down as we close the overnight session lower, but we could see some buying interest coming off of these private export sale announcements. Now, the weather has started to change just a little bit again. Tony mentioned the rain that's coming through the Midwest next week. That 6 to 10 day slides the heat out of the western belt closer to the east and then out of the picture entirely, giving us more of a normal rainfall and temperature pattern, which signals good growing conditions to the trade.
Sure, and that Pro Farmer Crop Tour is set to wrap up this evening in Rochester, Minnesota. We're going to take a break. We'll bring Brian back in as we dig into livestock futures and look at export sales on that side of the equation as Market Day Report continues after this. Welcome back to Market Day Report. We'll open up the livestock markets a little later this hour. But how did we close yesterday? Well, when you look at the live cattle futures, we were 97 lower on October at 174.62 and lost 82 cents on the December contract at 174.27. Now, in the feeder cattle market, we saw higher prices across the board as we settled yesterday. The September 117 higher at 235.67, 35-cent gains for October and January. And for the hog trade on Wednesday, it was October off 25 cents, 76.15. D's down 22, nickel lower on February. Roll out to April and May, a little higher. Could that be some optimism? Well, let's bring back in Brian Hoops, Midwest Market Solutions. Brian, we've got a few stories working right now in the livestock trade. Probably one we could talk about this morning, though, export sales.
Yeah, let's first talk about the pork sales as we went just from talking a couple weeks ago to a marking year high in pork sales. Now we're talking about a marking year low. The sales this morning were about 19 million tons. Very disappointing, marking year low, and just tells you what a few dollar difference makes in that pork market, whether we're price competitive or whether we're not. Beef sales were pretty much where we've been all this year, 15.9 million tons. We've kind of been right in this small, narrow range, and we don't seem to deviate very far from it. Cash cattle trade did develop again in the Southern Plains yesterday. So we saw northern trade earlier in the week, $3 to $5 lower. Southern Plains trade 183, down $2 compared to last week. So it's, the futures market is probably breaking first, and then the cash is following and developing. The only positives here that you try and really can pull out is the cutouts were slightly higher yesterday, and with packers paying lower money to secure cattle, their margins have improved. So now we're looking at maybe about $13 a head on the positive side for packer margins, and eventually that will allow the packers to pay up for the cash markets, but not this week. Probably not next week, as we have that cattle on feed report tomorrow afternoon that looks to be a little bearish, especially in that placements category.
Hey, quickly, and I know you just touched on it with the placements, but any other things you're watching for in that cattle on feed, which comes out at 2 p.m. Central tomorrow?
Well, you look for some sort of a surprise. That's what the expectations are, is for about 4% larger on-feed supply or placements. On-feed should be right in line with expectations. Now, if that on-feed number is sharply less or sharply above, that could give you a surprise and maybe a little bit of direction for the cash trade next week. Marketing is expected to be very strong because we've had 2 extra marketing days last month. So, that's kind of how the report's setting up, looking for some surprises to give us maybe a change in this direction. Certainly want it to be back to the upside for the cattle producer.
He's the president, Midwest Market Solutions. It's Brian Hoops on Market Day Report. Again, that cattle on feed report set to come out at 2 p.m. this afternoon. And we wrap up the Pro Farmer Crop Tour this evening in Minnesota. A couple of stories we'll continue to watch for you.